Good morning. So just finished some morning sessions. Thought I'd jump on and talk about how to stay positive even when life gets in the way and you feel like you've fallen off the bandwagon again. It's Wednesday, which is often the day that it can happen, or people find it happens and they just think, I'll just get to the weekend now. And I spoke about this the other day, and this part of seeing each day as 4 quarters, rather than thinking that one day should influence the other. Because remember, that's a choice to say that one day will influence the other. We want to think about it from a point of view of how can we think of the day as 4 quarters, number one. So you got morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening. So, if you fall off the bandwagon in the morning, your morning doesn't quite go to plan, can you control your lunch? Equally, if you go off plan at lunch, how can you control the afternoon? Equally, go off plan at afternoon, how can you control your evening? But more so on this, when life gets in the way and you notice that the habits that you want to change, morning Sue, let's say you're into the habits of having protein every meal, drinking water, all these good intentions, like really good intentions, but then we kind of get to that space where we're like, I'm just not doing that, or I didn't do it then. I want you to, at that time, when that trigger happens, become very aware of when it happens. And just ask the question in that, Am I aligning myself with my past or my future? And I say this from a point of view of, morning Sue, morning Teresa. I say this from a point of view of, if you think around 5% at one time, our thoughts are conscious. So most of our thoughts are actually, basically just subconscious, unconscious mind just going with our past, our habits and the things that we thought before, thinking about the future, thinking about the past. And when we get into this space where we're like, why did I eat that? Why did I have that? Why did I do that? Why did I do this? If you can really just become aware of these conscious moments of failure, or whatever you want to call it, and just ask the question of, am I aligning myself with previous self or past self? Am I just going back to old habits, which, let's face it, we get a dopamine hit from? There's less to think about. It's easier to do. That's why that monkey on your shoulder will often say, oh, you deserve it. Just don't be so hard on yourself. Just, sod it, you're lazy, whatever. We have these voices in our head which think, you won't be able to do it. You failed before. You always fail at week 4. And we start to live up to this. And it's sometimes, that's one of the things, we get that dopamine hit from pretty much just saying that I'm going to go back to my old way. But all I want you to do is just ask the question, am I aligning myself with my past self, or am I aligning myself with my future self here? And just ask that question, because future self being, where do you want to be? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? Like 6 months, 12 months from now, what would that person do? And just know that it is going to be a little bit harder to make the choice that the future self that you want would make, because we're going to have to be very conscious of those thoughts, because it's easier to have subconscious, unconscious thoughts, the habits that we've done time and time again. Of course it will be. But the more you do this, the more you think about, can I act how my future self would act based on how I want to feel rather than how I currently feel, the more you create software, hardware, pathways in your brain, which then give you the possibility to do it again tomorrow, to make it easier again tomorrow. And it sounds really small, but we see this time and time, day in, day out, that the people who are just more aware of their choices, and this, it's not that we don't go into everything, nutrition and fasting and all of these stuff, calorie counting and whatever, that you can do. Those are all good conversations to have. But that right there is probably one of the biggest factors between someone getting results and not. The ability to keep going, the ability to not give up so soon, the ability to give themselves another kind of chance to really be aware of the choice and question why they made that choice. Be curious, not critical, of why we made that choice. How was I feeling? How did I want to feel? Why did I do that? Knowing what I know now, what would I do differently? So, just some thoughts for you today. On to our one-to-ones and then more sessions in throughout the day. So I will see you later. Take care.